Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February webinar. My name is Natalie. I've been with Grist for 3.5 years, and I'm based in New Orleans, where we are in the midst of our Mardi Gras celebrations, the most wonderful time of year around here. We have parades every day and king cake for every meal. So I figured I'd bring the excitement to our webinar with my wardrobe. Today's session is designed to help new users navigate the basics of Grist. So whether you're just getting started or need a refresher, you're in the right place. Immediately following the conclusion of today's webinar, you will receive an email with a link to the unedited recording of the webinar. In the same email, there will be a link to complete a survey. We have been hosting this webinar every few months now, and we'd appreciate your feedback in making it better each time. So if you can, please fill out that survey for us. Now, if this is your first time attending one of our Build with Grist webinars, welcome. We host one each month on different topics. You can find recordings of all previous webinars on our YouTube channel. They have their own dedicated playlist under Build with Grist webinar, so they're easy to find. A recording of this webinar will be available there as well later this week. If you have any questions along the way, please post them in the chat. I know that it's been busy already. Nick is in there and he will be answering them as we go along. So let's go ahead and dive in. To start, we'll take a look at the Grist homepage, and that's what you see on your screen right now. When you first log in, you'll likely be looking at your personal site. Every Grist account has a personal site, and many of you will also belong to a team site. Team sites are designed for collaborative work, allowing multiple users to work together on shared documents. And a personal site is really for your own personal documents that maybe is for your personal life, not really part of your work team situation. When users are getting started, the difference between these two sites tends to trip them up. To start, personal site begins with this @ sign. So up here in the upper left corner, you see the @ sign Natalie. This is my personal site. Again, it's meant for your personal documents. So for example, here I have my hurricane preparedness document. This contains personal information about my homeowner's insurance, inventory of my house for insurance purposes. Again, I live in New Orleans. This is information we need handy all the time. This is not something that I would keep on my team site. No one at Grist really cares about this. They don't need access to it. Note that documents within your personal site can still be shared with guests. So for example, my husband would want access to this information as well. I can still share it with him. If I click these 3-dot icon, I can manage users and I can add users to my document. Every document in Grist can be shared with 2 outside collaborators for free. So here I've shared it with the little skier picture. That's my personal Grist. I have multiple Grists, one with my work email, one with my personal email. That's why you see my face on the second one. That's my Grist email. And then I shared it with my husband. So I've got 2 free collaborators here on this document. Even though it's in my personal site, I can still share it. Now there's 2 ways to switch between sites if you do belong to a team site or multiple team sites. You can do so from this upper left-hand corner. You can switch between your sites here. You can also do it from your profile icon in the upper right. You'll see them all down here. So I'm going to switch over to my team site. Now note that you see the free tag here. This is a free team plan. It means documents within here are limited to 5,000 rows, but otherwise it's pretty full featured. So everything we see here within the documents, it's going to be available on our different plans. It'll also be available if you just have a personal site. Only one thing I'll show you is different, but I'll point it out. So to start, if you are on a team site, you'll want to know how to manage your team members. You just click this Manage Team button in the upper right-hand corner, and you can add email addresses. You can manage their access to the team site. You can also invite multiple. If you have a long list of team members you want to add, you can use that feature. Now, one thing here that is different between a team site and a personal site is workspaces. And that's what you see over here on the left-hand side. In a personal site, you'll just have the home workspace, but in a team site, you can have multiple. Workspaces are like folders. So if I click on marketing, this would be like all of marketing's documents can live in this folder. Now, by default, workspaces inherit access from the team. So everyone from the team would have access to this folder or workspace by default, but you can change that. So you can manage access by clicking this three-dot icon, then manage users, and that's managing access to the workspace. Now, this should only be accessible by our marketing team. So you can change inherit access from in full, which means inheriting everything from the team level, and we can change it to none. And then we can add back the team members who should have access. So we'll say Florian should have access. Now he's head of our marketing department, so I'm going to give him owner access for this particular workspace. And then I'll add Fred as well. Fred will just be an editor. And that's my marketing team. I can go ahead and confirm. And now those team members would be the ones who have access to this workspace. No one else by default. If you have cross-departmental work going on and other people need access to documents within this workspace, there is a way to manage that, and we are going to cover that shortly. Now, if you want to add a new document or a new workspace, you would do that from this green Add New button. So when I first got started with Grist, I would always get tripped up on how to add a workspace. It's under the Add New button. You'll see this button here. You create a workspace. It creates a new workspace there. Now we can also create a document. This will create it within the workspace you've selected, but you can always move it later. Now, as I said before, the marketing team is the only one who now has access to this folder and the documents within this folder. You can always change that access directly from this page. I can click this three-dot icon, and I have a lot of different options here. Let's look at manage users first, because let's say we had some cross-departmental work going on and I needed to share this document with someone else. Here you see inherit access is in full, and that's inheriting from the workspace. We can always add new people. So I'm going to add Garrick. It's going to be an editor, and I can confirm, and that adds that user onto that document. They now have access. A lot of other options in this menu. Before I mentioned how if you create a document using the Add New button and you've already selected a workspace, let's say you didn't mean to do that, you can always move it. And you can move it to any of the existing workspaces. You would just select it, click Move, and it would move it. You can also delete. If you delete a document, it'll move into your trash, and it lives there for 30 days. The trash is in the bottom left-hand corner. If you still see the pop-up for the self-managed Grist link, close that pop-up, and you're going to see the resources area in that bottom left-hand corner, and that's where the trash lives. You can also pin documents. So let's say I pin this class enrollment document. It'll now have this pin icon, but also it'll now appear under this pinned tab. I can click that tab and I'll see all of my pinned documents. And you can also unpin it in the same place. One of our newer features is this rename and set icon. By clicking that, I can change the name of my document if need be, but I can also change this icon that appears. You can choose a color. You can also choose an icon. and personalize your site a little bit. And so now moving down into this bottom left-hand corner, again, if you see that link pop up still, go ahead and close that in your bottom left-hand corner of your screen so you can see this portion of the Grist page. So here we have our Grist resources. The first thing you'll see is templates. We have so many templates in our template gallery. So if you're trying to, one, just see what's possible with Grist, really fun templates in here. Maybe you just want to start with a template and throw in your data. See if we have a template that kind of matches your use case. We've got tons in here. Definitely check it out. These top three across the top also have how-to tutorials that go along with them. So in our Help Center, you will see how-to tutorials, and it goes step by step how to build these 3 templates at the top, which can be super useful in getting started. Now, next under Grist resources, we have our trash. And again, documents live here for 30 days, and after that, they are permanently deleted. You can also click the 3-dot icon and delete forever, and that'll permanently delete it. This tutorial link just opens our Grist Basics tutorial. It has data set up in it already, and then in this little pop-up walks you through step-by-steps how to modify this to make it more useful. So it's a really great place to get started. And that's just this tutorial link here in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a video tour, and then we also have this Help Center link. This opens this little chat box type of thing where we have a link to the Help Center, the community forum, which is a great place to ask questions. We have our function reference guide, and these are just some quick links into different areas of our Help Center. Now, most of the links I share today are going to be to the Help Center. This is just another way to access. Let's go ahead and create a new document and then start digging into the features there. So we click the green Add New button and create an empty document. At the top of the page here in the breadcrumbs is where we can rename the document. So I'm going to name it, call it Grist 101 for today's webinar. You can also rename the page. So as we add more data, you'll see more pages appear here. I can go ahead, I'm just going to add another page so we can see new table, table 2. And so now I've got these 2 pages. You can rename the page in the breadcrumbs. We'll call this page 1. But you can also rename a page here by clicking the 3-dot icon and rename. If you want to rename a table, you can do that just by clicking it in the upper left-hand corner. And you have a couple different options here. The first box renames the data table name. This should be pretty descriptive of what the data is in the underlying data table. This will make more sense as we add data. And then the widget title just allows you to be more specific in this particular view. So let's say we have doggy daycare information. I'll just actually call this dogs. But maybe this was a specific location. We can say Brooklyn dogs. So the underlying data table might be dogs, but this particular view is Brooklyn dogs. Again, we'll see this more as we get data into our table. Moving down the left-hand side, we have our tools. First, we have access rules. This allows you to limit access within the document. We refer to this as one of our more advanced features, so we won't cover any of it today in our Grist 101, but we do have helpful webinars on this topic that walk you through step-by-step how to set up access rules, the types of things you can do with them. Very helpful. Highly recommend checking that out once you get started in Grist. And then here we have our raw data. Raw data is a great view for just seeing all of your data at once. As you'll see in a bit, you can have multiple views of the same data, and you can customize which columns you see in each view. Here in raw data, it shows all of the data in the table in a single place. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have columns hidden or is this filtered? No, this is raw data. It will show everything in your data table. Below that is document history. That makes this right-hand side update. The activity tab will show you updates made to the document. I'm going to click all tables. It will show the activity for the selected table. If you want to see all tables, click the check mark, and now it's going to show you all of the updates. I think it shows the last roughly 100 updates in your document. And you can see it'll show the email address that made the change. It'll show you the date and time, and then it tells you what it changed from and changed to. What's most useful, though, in this area is snapshots. And we'll click that. Snapshots are like backups of your document. You can open a snapshot. So let's say you want to go back, maybe someone accidentally deleted some data. You can go back to a prior version, find that data, and save it to the new one. But what you can also do is restore a prior version. So once you're viewing an old snapshot, we're viewing this one from 10:20 a.m. You can click the share icon and you can actually replace the current version with this prior version. More often, I see this used, or I use it personally, for finding a formula that someone deleted. You can just go back to a prior version, find the formula, copy and paste to your current version, or maybe someone deleted some data. You can go back and pull that data from an old version. That's where I see it used most. Sometimes if you get into a situation where you have an error that won't go away, you can also go to a prior version that was before the error occurred. And again, that's document history here. We also have code view. This shows the, oops, I forgot I'm still in the snapshot. Let me go back to our current version. Code view shows how your document is built, but in code. You can't edit this at all. It's just more for a visual. It's a great place to find all of your formulas that you're using. I know people in the community have used it. If they're sharing how a table is structured, they'll just take a screenshot of this, and then it gives you a good sense of the column types used, formulas used, and you can kind of recreate a similar table. And then finally, we have our document settings page, and there's a lot here that you can update. You can set your default time zone. So anytime you add a date or date time column, this will follow the correct time zone that you select for here. You can set the locale for number and date formatting, and then you can also set a default currency. There's a lot of other options here too. I'm not going to go into them, but we do have a Help Center article on document settings that addresses each of these in here now. And then finally at the bottom, once again, you have a link to the Help Center. It opens that pop-up again that we saw from the home page. Up here at the top, we have our share menu. We've already seen manage users. Remember, if you are on a team site, we saw workspaces inherit access from the team level. Well, documents inherit access from the workspace level, which we saw with that marketing document where we added another user. If you want to change the way it inherits access, again, you just select in full and select one of these other options. We're going to leave this one as is. As we noted before, when we were looking at the personal site, you can add 2 free collaborators per document. So even though I have a bunch of team members here, maybe I want to add a test account as my example. And you see here, one of 2 guests has been added. And I can grant someone guest access. They could be owner, editor, viewer to this document. And it'll keep that guest count for you so you know if you're about to hit your limit and can't add any more collaborators. Sometimes it's useful to add them to your team, but remember, if you have a paid plan, you would pay for that user if you add them to your team. Again, under this share menu, you have the option to duplicate a document. That just creates a copy of the document. When you are creating a copy, let's say you're just trying to save it somewhere else, make sure you delete the original version so that you know you're working in the correct copy at all times. You also have this work on a copy. I'll click that. That lets you work on an unsaved copy of the document. This is helpful if maybe you're trying to create a formula, but you don't want to affect any other users within the document. You can come test it in a copy, maybe test some changes. Maybe you don't want to commit them yet. You have the option when working on a copy to save this as a separate copy. You can return to the original and lose your edits. You can also replace the original. So let's say you are working in a copy, you know no one else is doing work in it. You've solved your problem, figured out your formula. You can just replace the original with this copy, and now this becomes your working copy. But I'll return to the original. This download option will download your document as a .grist file. That means it includes all formulas, all columns, the entire structure of your document, and it allows you to import it into another Grist instance, whether that be a self-hosted Grist, using Grist Desktop. Maybe you just wanted to email the file to someone else who has Grist. You can do that. Export will allow you to export it as one of these other file types. And then, of course, you can send to Google Drive. Now for actually entering data into our document. We're going to start by importing data. Under the green Add New button, you have a couple import options. We can import from a file. We can import from Google Drive. We can also import from a URL. Importing from file and importing from Google Drive do look very similar. So I'm going to go through import from file today, but if you're using import from Google Drive, it will be the same steps. Instead of looking for a file on my computer, I'll be looking for it in Google Drive. So I select my file and I click open. Now within that file, it had 2 sheets. So we have a sheet here that we see that shows dog information. And then I also have this second sheet that has owner information for these dogs. I'm running a doggy daycare. I have all of this information. With each table, you have the option to skip the import. You also have the option to import into existing tables. But I just want to import into new tables. It'll create all these columns for me and be really simple to get started. So I'll go ahead and click import. Now I'll delete these old pages. When you go and delete, if that data table doesn't exist anywhere else, you have the option to keep the data within raw data or completely delete this data. That was just my test data to show how the document looked. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to delete this other table too as well. Again, that was just demo stuff. So now we have our table of dogs and our table of owners. In Excel or Google Sheets, where you see the sheets across the bottom as tabs, when you import that, it just creates pages here on the left. Now to rename a column, you can double click the header, and now you have the option to rename. I'm just going to change it to name. You can also add columns by clicking this plus icon, and that opens our add column menu. You can delete columns by right-clicking them or clicking this little arrow icon and selecting delete column. If you want to add rows, you can either come to the bottom of the table and start typing, and that'll create a record. You can also right-click on a row and insert above or below to create a new row. If you want to delete a row, you would just right-click and click delete. There's also keyboard shortcuts for all of these things, and they will be noted in the menu. We do have sorts available within our tables. If you wanted to sort, you can click this little arrow icon. Oops, right. Where is it? Oh, I have too much selected. Hold on. There we go. Now just this column is selected. We can tell by the dark gray colors just in this column. Now I can right click and I can sort either by A to Z or Z to A. I'm going to sort by location, A to Z. So now I see all of my Brooklyn dogs first, and at the bottom of the page, I see my Queens dogs. If you want to add a sort onto this, maybe within my locations, I want my dogs to be sorted A to Z. I can add to my sort, and then I'll sort A to Z. So my location is sorted A to Z, and then within each location, my dogs are sorted A to Z. We also have filters available. So you can also right-click to filter. Save and or sort and filter settings are also available with this little icon here. And you can just click add column, and then you would search for the column you want to filter by. So let's say I wanted to filter by location. I can click location. Maybe I only want to see Brooklyn dogs. I can unselect Queens. You also have the option to pin a filter. So when you first create a filter, it will be pinned by default. And that's what this green pin icon is for. We see that the location is now this little button at the top. If I wanted to unpin it, I would just click that pin icon. Now it's gray, it's unpinned, but I want to keep it at the top. And one of the cool things with pinning filters is to not apply a filter at all to it and just close and save. But now it works as like a quick filter button. I can quickly click it. Maybe I just want to see Queens dogs. I can close it. Great, I can see Queens dogs. But when I come back to the page or refresh, now I see all my dogs again. So pinning filters can work really well as like quick filter buttons if you don't apply a filter to it. Just kind of a cool trick you can use. Now over here on the right-hand side is what we call our creator panel. If it's not open for you already, you would click this green vertical bar, and that's what opens and closes it here on the right-hand side. You have two tabs with table and column. The table tab manages widget-specific settings. For example, if you want to add zebra stripes to your table, that setting is there. You can also hide and show columns from this area. Now the column tab shows column-specific settings. One that we'll focus on here is column type, and you're able to change the column type. Today, we're only going to focus on one column type, but I'll share a link to our webinar that goes through the different column types available in Grist. We also have an article in the Help Center. Just search column type and you'll find a lot of great information. The one column type that we're going to look at today is our reference column type. One advantage that Grist has over traditional spreadsheets is that it can relate different tables of data to each other. Reference columns create those relationships. So here in our example document, we have a table of dogs with specific information to each dog. And then separately, we have this table of owners and their contact information. It would be useful to create a relationship between the two tables, linking each dog to their owner. we have this owner column, but it's just text. It's not doing anything behind the scenes. We can change that. I've selected this owner column. You see it's green. So we can see that here is the column that I'm modifying. You can see the label here at the top. And I'm going to change the column type to reference. Now it finds matching data in the owner's table. So it automatically suggests that. And this is exactly what we want. We want to match it to a name value in that owner's table. I can go ahead and click apply. And now each dog is matched to an owner. It's as simple as that. It's pointing back to the record in the owner's table. And we can see this by clicking on one of these link icons. It'll actually open the record from the other table. So if I click on this link for Cecilia Wong, I can see Cecilia's phone number and email address. And that information is here in the owner's table. So Cecilia's name, phone number, email address. And that's what we saw here in the dogs table when we click the link next to her name. Now, why do I convert this owner column to a reference? Because you never want data to repeat. Here we have owners' names appearing multiple times. So we have Cecilia Wong here for Abigail, and then Cecilia Wong as well for Julius. We want to point back to the unique list of owners in our owners table so that it's not duplicated. And there's a couple reasons why the reference columns are useful. First, if you have repeating information within a document like this, it's hard to keep it all updated and correct. An owner's name appears multiple times here. So they could own multiple dogs. By using a reference column to reference back to the one single record, we only need to update information in a single place. So let's say Cecilia's name changed. I'm just going to change it to Cecilia W. I've changed it here in the owners table. If I go back to dogs, anywhere Cecilia was listed now shows the updated name. Now you can also pull in more information for a referenced record. Let's say I wanted the owner's phone number to be here in the dogs table. I can click this plus icon in the upper right-hand corner of the table to open the add column menu. And I can actually look up information now in that other table. Under lookups, you'll see anywhere you can find data in another table. Here we can look up information in the owners table. That's this first owners part. And then in the square brackets, it's telling you how it's looking up that information. Like, how are these tables connected that it can find it? And that's because the owner column is a reference column to the owners table. We want to pull the phone number. And now I have this formula column that is pulling the phone number from the other table. So let's change Cecilia's phone number. 8675309. And now when I go back to the dogs table, anywhere Cecilia is mentioned, Cecilia's phone number has been updated. And so you only have to update it once. It updates it everywhere that reference or that data is referenced. Now, reference columns are also useful for linking widgets. You can add multiple widgets to a page, essentially creating a dashboard. While looking at our table of dogs here, it would be useful to just see owner information when we select a dog, and we can do that using a linked widget. I'll click that green Add New button, add widget to this page. And now we have different widget options to select from. We're going to select a card. It works really well when you're just looking at information for a single record. And specifically, we wanted owner information pulled in. We have this select by up here. And I want to select by dogs, and it's the little dot owner. The little dot is basically telling you that it's a reference column that is allowing you to link these widgets. And the reference column is owner. And then we'll go ahead and add it to the page. And so now when I select a dog, I see the owner information in the card. And as I scroll through, you see the owner information update specifically for the dog that is selected. Now, the last topic I want to cover today is summary tables. Summary tables are similar to pivot tables in spreadsheets, and they let you get table-wide totals or any subtotals. Let's say we want to know how many dogs are enrolled in our doggy daycare. A summary table would give us this data. To add a summary table, you would click the green Add New button, and once again, we're going to add a widget to this page. We'll keep the table widget type selected, and we want to summarize information about our dogs. So we're just going to click the green summation icon because we just want to know how many dogs are enrolled. We're just going to go ahead and add to page. We'll cover this group by option next. Now we see that we have 23 dogs enrolled in our doggy daycare. Our dogs are split between 2 locations, so maybe this 23 number is not super helpful. We prefer to know how many dogs at each location. You can update an existing widget on a page from the creator panel here on the right-hand side. So we want to modify the table as a whole, so we go to the table tab, and you can click this green change widget button, and now you can make adjustments to your widget. We would like to know how many dogs per location. And so we can actually use this group by feature to find that subtotal. We select location and save. And so now it shows me how many dogs for each location. Now this is a not helpful view. You can rearrange widgets very easily. When you hover over the upper left-hand corner of a widget, you'll see these 2 little vertical bars appear. You can click and drag from those locations. You can also resize widgets by hovering between them. You'll see the dotted line appear and then click and drag. You can also update how widgets link to each other. So right now, these 2 widgets are not linked, but it would be useful if I could just select a location here and this table below just show me the dogs for the selected location. We added that filter, but this will just make it a little bit easier. I can click change widget again and select by dogs by location, which is the summary table that we just added, and I'll save that. And so now when I select Queens, I see all of our Queens dogs. When I select Brooklyn, I see all of the Brooklyn dogs. I'm going to go ahead and delete this filter button here for location and save because we don't need that anymore. We can just select. We can also hide this location column because we already know the location based on what's selected up here. I can right click and hide that column. And now it simplifies this view. And since I have the owner information pulled out as well, I can hide the owner name and I can hide the owner phone number since those are over here. And it simplifies that view just a bit more. Finally, I want to mention one last thing before we wrap up about adding formulas in Grist. If you want to enter a formula into a column, you would type equals to convert it to a formula column. So I'm just going to add a new column real quick just so I can show this. Just a normal column right now. If I click equals, it turns it into a formula column. You can use many Excel-like functions, some Grist-specific functions, and then the entire Python standard library is available in our formulas. The biggest difference between Grist and standard spreadsheets is that formulas will apply to the entire column in Grist. No need to drag and select cells. So I'll share a link to an article on formulas if you'd like to learn more. We do have this AI formula assistant. So if you're not quite sure what you want to do, you can always click this green text that says use AI assistant, and then you would describe what you want in the formula, and it will help you create the formula. And that is everything for our Grist 101 webinar today. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat. I know that it has been blowing up the whole time. Thank you so much, Nick, for taking care of all of those. Question: when I upload my original data to Grist, is this what becomes my raw data? Then this raw data is what I use to create pages and widgets. Is that a correct understanding? That is correct. Question: what is the capacity and size of documents we can host? If you are using our hosted version of Grist at docs.getgrist.com, documents are recommended to stay under roughly 20 megabytes. That's roughly 100,000 rows, give or take. You can always see the data size. Let me go to a document to show you what this looks like. Under raw data, you can see the usage here at the bottom of the page, and you can see the data size. Now, mine is only showing 10 megabytes, and that's because I'm on a free plan. So it is limited based on what your plan is. But in general, 20 megabytes, and check the getgrist.com/pricing page, and you'll be able to see the details for your specific plan. Question: the best way to implement Grist's object in a WordPress block or iframe and others. You can embed Grist within other pages. We do have a Help Center article all about embedding, and I can share a link to that now. But that embedding page will walk through how to embed Grist in an iframe. Another question, if it's possible to make a Sankey diagram. This would be possible with a custom widget. Custom widgets do require a bit of coding to create exactly what you want. We also did a webinar a couple months back that walks through the custom widget builder. It's a special custom widget that you can use within Grist, and it makes it just easier to build your own custom widget. So check out that webinar as well. Question: is Grist free? If yes, thanks in advance. Grist is free. There is a free version of it. What we see today is all within the free version. The paid versions, there's a couple different levels depending on how much you need. And you can find all of that on our pricing page. It shows what each plan includes, as well as the cost per user. And there is a discount if you pay annually versus monthly. So there's a little toggle for that on that page, and you can see all of that. We also offer a self-managed version, which can be found on GitHub. If you want to use it for free, you would have to install it and manage it all on your own. But if you were interested in a self-hosted version that Grist manages, that is an option as well. That does come with a fee, so it wouldn't be free, but just more options for you in how you use Grist. And so let me share that one as well. Question: how can we filter our inventory? I do have an example up here on filtering. You can use filters on any column. So just for this example, I'm going to filter by stock alert. You can either right click on the column header to see these options, or click this little arrow and you would select filter data. And then now you can filter for any of these values. A quick way to just go to nothing and select one, you can click none and it'll deselect everything. And then you can just select for what you want to see. Maybe you want to see low stock so you know what you need to place an order for. Or maybe you just want to see all of your current stock and ignore the out of stock information. And so that's how you can apply filters to your data. Question, is it possible to hide a specific column for someone? It is, and that would be using access rules. So let's say that we wanted to hide the age column. You could do that. So I'm going to navigate to access rules. Now you would add a table rule. You say, where is this column located? It's in the dogs table, so we're going to add table rules for dogs. These rules that initially apply, this is for all columns. If you want to add a column specific rule, you would click this 3-dot icon, add column rule, select your column. I think I said age. We're going to hide the age column. And then let's say we want to hide it from non-owners. So as an owner, I should be able to see the dog's age, but no one else, no editors, no viewers. You would do user.access, and we'll keep it simple. We'll just say does not equal owner. And this does use Python syntax. So exclamation point equals means does not equal. And then I will deny all. So if their access is not owner, they cannot read or update the age column. I'll go ahead and save that. Now we have this handy view as feature. So if you are messing with access rules, you can see how other people can view this. So Florian is an editor, non-owner, meaning that this age rule should apply. And when I come here to the dogs table, there is no age column. Now, another thing is to check raw data. I didn't have this column hidden, but let's say you had the column hidden. You can always go to raw data. And that's this 3-dot icon, show raw data. And that shows the full view of your data, no hidden columns, no filtered view. And again, we don't see the age column here for Florian. Question, can you send a notification or email when a row is added or modified? You can do that using an integrator service like Zapier, Pabbly Connect, Integrately, N8N. There's a whole list of them that work with Grist. And if you search integrator in our help center, you'll see the full list. But what you would do, find which service works with both Grist and the email service that you use. And then you can just set it up where if a new record is created, then an email is sent. You can also do it for updating a record. And we do have a Help Center article on that. Again, just if you want to search integrator, integrator service, integrations, it should show up for you. Is it possible to do fuzzy matching between two tables, such as when linking dogs and owners, but the names aren't exactly the same? It is not possible, but let's say that you are linking it up and it's only just a few that don't match. I'm going to go to raw data. So let's say I've just typed George C and it's red. If you import something that's not quite right, it'll show as red. And you can filter to show errors. So here I see invalid ref. I can just filter to see those invalid ones. And when you double click, it'll try and suggest the closest matches at the top, and then you would select. I will show you guys a couple different places where you can find our recordings. So getgrist.com. This is our website. Under resources, we have a link to webinars. This is my favorite place to recommend going to watch webinars. This one's not going to show much because we're currently in it, but when I upload it, this will show helpful info, kind of like the rest of these. But let me open last month's webinar, which is migrating data from Excel to Grist. It will include the YouTube video. It includes all the YouTube timestamps. But then I also link any topic that we cover. So again, this is getgrist.com/webinars. And you can find the webinar there. This just has so many more resources linked than I can do on the YouTube channel. So anytime I'm within the little descriptions for the timestamps, if I can link a topic, I link it. So you can find so much information here. The links down here at the bottom all include on YouTube. So again, this is the first place you can find our recordings. This is getgrist.com/webinars. We also have it on our YouTube channel. This is our Grist YouTube channel. And here we have our Build with Grist webinar playlist. And so you can see all of the prior webinars. Again, I'll upload this one probably tomorrow. And then the last place you can go is our community forum. So if you go to this Help Center link in the bottom left, click on the community forum, and then I will post it here. And so if you are signed up for the community, I think you get a weekly email. And I tend to post it under Showcase. So here's last month's webinar. And you'll see I have all the timestamps and I link all of the related information here. We have a web page describing the OSS features versus paid features and enterprise. A lot of our pricing is here. This is getgrist.com. You click the pricing link. By default, it is toggled to annually. So if you want to know pay monthly, just untoggle it. But it does list the features broken out between the different plans. So free here on the left, pro is the middle, business is on the right. If one of these plans doesn't match what you need, email us and we can figure something out. Our sales team is really great about building the solution that works for you. So feel free to email us if this doesn't perfectly fit your needs. We have a roadmap for future features and paid versus OSS self-hosted features. I know we had a roadmap. I don't know how heavily it's used right now. Let me see. Let me show you what it looks like right now. It's a lot of the work that has been done by the French team is shown here. It looks okay. So this looks very accurate to our current roadmap. So let me share this link for you. I'm sending it in the chat. That link is to our roadmap. Oh, Nick got it too. Cool. And they are keeping this accurate, it looks like. So you can see what we're working on right now. If you have any questions after the webinar, definitely post to our community forum. Again, you click this Help Center link in the bottom left-hand corner of Grist. It opens this little help box and you can click Community Forum. And this is a great place to ask for help, see how other people are using Grist, and just general feedback can be done here. I always just view as latest so I can see all the newest stuff. And if you are a Discord user, we do have a Grist Discord as well. And so that link is always at the top of the page for you if you're interested in joining that. Discord is more used by the more technical users. It's great for instant answers. People are always on there answering questions. So typically I don't push people to the Discord only because I don't use it as much, but it does seem like people really enjoy it who do use it. So you have both options. We do check both. Like our team members are in both Discord and the community forum. If you post a feedback in one, it does get logged. We will see it. So it's whatever's more convenient for you, the Grist community here or the Grist Discord. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining, everyone. We hope you learned a lot, and we will see you in next month's webinar. Bye, guys.